Hello, hello, hello. It's the Fun Boy back with another episode of F1 2021 My Team Career Mode. Episode I'm not sure because I forgot. And now the season regulations for next year are out and is only affecting our aerodynamics and the chassis department. And one more thing, you might want to stick around for the race because there are so many moments like suspense, excitement, drama, danger. There's just so much that adds up to the pinnacle of motorsport here in Formula One. And yeah, just stay tuned for the race. And we only have 6 weeks until the deadline where all the upgrades will be lost. But let's hope not to get a strong season 2. And we only have 4 races to go, including this race. We just have 6 weeks. So 6 weeks should be until Abu Dhabi. So let's just head into qualifying. And it will be a wet qualifying. But I think it's borderline dry wet. So there's a chance that it's a 50-50 chance that it will go on to softs or inters for qualifying. And we started on inters first actually. As we now head into the turn 1 into the Senna S's. I'm decent in the inter on the inters in Interlagos, but in the wets obviously I've said this multiple times, but I'm just not good. And so now we only 1.5 tenths up on Schumacher heading down turn 4, which is where Verstappen, the 2021 world champion, has driven Lewis Hamilton off the corner, trying to defend the position desperately, I believe. As pretty much, I was going on my normal lap trying to set the fastest lap I could. And if you look at the top left, Latifi is already coming out on softs. He's trying to qualify on softs. And DRS has been enabled by the FIA, so now it's time to go on to the soft tires. So we're just gonna head back to the pits and we change to a soft tires and we're now onto a flying lap. We're still making a lot of mistakes and we got a faster sector too because we're the only one who sets the fastest time. And Latifi did set a timing, but obviously the Williams car is worse than our car in this case scenario. As we now head down the main straight past the finish line, we obviously get the fastest lap. And Lando Norris also tried to go on the softs, but I have no idea why the McLaren is slower than me. They are the kings of straight line speed and they are overall better than us as we now head down the start finish straight. DRS open, 1.5 seconds up on our previous timing, and that puts another fastest lap, but it won't be so at the end of Q1 because Sergio Perez is the fastest man on track at the end of the first qualifying session, followed by Verstappen, and we are 1.2 seconds off the pace compared to Robert Schwartzman. And I did this qualifying on 99 AI, so probably I'm going to decrease it to 95 AI. But let's hope we can at least just catch up to our teammate, not like finishing behind him in previous races. And we'll just see how we can do in Interlagos.
Welcome along then to the place where heroes and history are made. It's where the 2008 title was decided in the final corner. And it's the place, a year later, that Jenson Button stormed through from 14th on the grid to claim his one and only Drivers' Championship. It's Interlagos, and it's time for the Brazilian Grand Prix. It's an unusual anti-clockwise race here at Interlagos, where the Sao Paulo locals are packed into the grandstands at each of the 15 corners around this classic 2.7-mile circuit. Two very fast sections bookend the famous and highly technical Sector 2, where getting a good run out of Junsao into one of the two DRS zones will be the key to any overtaking prospects today. Alongside me once again for coverage of today's race, it's none other than the great Anthony Davidson. Why don't we discuss McLaren? What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Perez, Lando Norris and Leclerc, Ricciardo, Sainz, Raikkonen and Antonio Giovinazzi, Vettel, Ocon, Yuki Tsunoda and Stroll, Schwartzman, Russell, Nicholas Latifi and Pierre Gasly. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Mick Schumacher, Fernando Alonso, Mazepin and the Black Mamba. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
So we do have a couple of drivers taking grid penalties, such as Alonso and Gasly. I think there were a couple up front, but I forgot. So we are gonna try to underfill the car by 0.35 laps, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, 0.35 laps. As obviously starting last, there's Nikita Mazepin on the right side. As now here come the 5 red lights for the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. And it slides out and away we go. Valtteri Bottas, I think he had to rotate the car. Verstappen gets quite a good start. He's already on the outside of Hamilton. We caught that at the bottom left of the screen. As we now head down turn 1, we are already side by side with the Alpine of Fernando Alonso heading down the Senna S's. And now Robert Schwartzman is fighting with George Russell, sorry, for P15. And we're now side by side with the Alpines and the Haas's. Nikita Mazepin and Mick Schumacher are now fighting for the wooden spoon, dead last. As we now head down turn 4, we are still side by side heading down turn 5. Now up to turn 6 where Jarno Trulli and Adrian Sutil crash into each other back in the 2000s, I can't remember when. As now we rear end Alonso and we are now side by side with Mick Schumacher, but he manages to take the position. But we do have the inside line which manages to give us the position back for the time being as we now head down the right hander where Lewis Hamilton span out Alex Albon back in 2019. As we now head down Jun Sao, obviously a historic corner where Timo Glock went slowly. As we now head down the start-finish straight, the main straight, and Robert Schwartzman is doing pretty good, trying to chase down the other Alpine of Esteban Ocon. And the thing is that since I'm already able to fight a former world champion, Alonso, we are able to catch up to him. So obviously the improvements are there. The improvements are there, and we have more worn components than him. That's because he took the grid penalty, and that's why he started in the 19th place, and he still isn't able to move up the order. So Latifi is doing quite a good job in the Williams. As we're now just trying to find a way to get past Alonso, but we are getting quite a bit of dirty air. As we obviously have to try to save fuel within 18 laps. We have 16 laps left, so we are downshifting quite slower than usual. As we are also short shifting quite a lot just so that we can keep the revs low and save fuel. As we are struggling a little bit heading down the left-hander before Jun Sao. And I have no idea why the footage is compressed. We are on the same lap, but I have no idea why it just compressed by itself. As we are now trying to get past Alonso, we do have the slipstream. DRS is being enabled. We try to go around the outside, but I decided to stay behind the Alpine, knowing that I'll get dirty air, but at least I'll get the slipstream down in the main straight. It's a bit of the DRS train. Alonso has DRS on Latifi. I have DRS on Alonso, so on and so forth, and they are side by side heading down turn 4. But Latifi still manages to hold on against the Alpine. I expected Alonso to overtake Latifi long ago back in like lap 2, as we now try to go side by side with Alonso heading down the downhill left-hander at the apex, now going uphill at the exit. And there's a transition because I actually crashed and I just had to erase that part, so please do forgive me for that. And we did go past Alonso as we're now 336 milliseconds faster in Jun Sao, or pretty much the second sector, as Verstappen sets the fastest lap. DRS open for us. We are saving our ERS for the for the second DRS zone as we head down turn 1, the Senna SS. We overshot the corner a little bit, but we managed to keep the car at least a bit close to the apex. And Gasly up front isn't able to move up the order. He's still stuck at 17th as we now go down the inside of Latifi with absolute commitment. As now we are now up to P18 and Gasly should be my next target. And the Williams cars are doing quite well, holding off opponents that I expected to get past. At least I expected them to get past, if you know what I mean. As now obviously we have a DRS train. We're now in lap 8 as Schwartzman is slowly pegging away from Esteban Ocon. Probably like a 3.5 seconds. As we now head down the uphill right hand of turn 6. I think that's turn 7. As we now go down the inside of Gasly. He does not give me any space at all. And I guess it could be my fault because I dive in too late. And thankfully we didn't have any damage as we now go down the inside and we just hit Gasly to just show that he shouldn't mess with a driver like me because he knows that I'm going to be a world champion next season. As we now head down Jun Sao, we lost 8.5 tenths of a second. And Schwartzman at up front is still doing quite a good job, staying ahead of Russell. And now Russell has DRS on Schwartzman. I have DRS on Russell as we head down the main straight now into lap 9. Heading down turn 1 in the Senna S's. I still knew that I had to start saving fuel, but we had quite a lot of wheel spin there at the exit as you can see there. We have DRS now. And pretty much we were behind Schwartzman until we entered the pit lane. And we did overtake George Russell in the process. As now we head down the pit lane at 80 kilometers an hour. As now everyone's heading into the pits. There's Tsunoda, Stroll and Ocon. And my pit stop was really slow, but we just about managed to stay ahead of Russell. As we now head down the pit straight, I had a lot of trouble at the exit because of the bumpy parts right around where the car is at. I tend to hit the wall as there's Fernando Alonso getting past me just about as I have DRS heading into turn 4. Russell doesn't have DRS at all, and we are now stuck behind the Alpine for the time being until lap 12, where I think we managed to get past Alonso here before heading into turn 4, I think. As now Schwartzman comes out of the pits. Schwartzman is coming out of the pits on the hard compound tires. We have DRS. Schwartzman doesn't. Schwartzman and Alonso are side by side heading into turn 4. We go down the inside to make it 3 wide as we gain 2 tenths. Heading into sector 1 and Schwartzman manages to break through as we squeezed Alonso to the curb heading into turn 6. But that was absolute commitment. There's a lot of good driving and a lot of exciting moments between the three of us. As pretty much Schwartzman manages to stay ahead of me. I'm still trying to get past him and I'm still surprised that he managed to hold out with the hard compound tires. As you can see me short shifting quite a lot, obviously trying to save fuel, shifting later, trying to keep the revs low to save fuel as well. As obviously we have to sacrifice our sector 2 as now DRS is open. Alonso has DRS on me and Schwartzman tries to cut in to go for personal best, I think that is. I thought about going down the inside for a minute, but I decided to go round the outside with absolute commitment at the Senna S's. And by the time we hit the apex of turn 2, we managed to hold out against the F2 driver in real life, obviously. As we managed to defend our position at the apex of turn 4, keeping P15. And pretty much we were battling, I think, until lap 15 as we had to lift and coast. Now as we exceed the apex, or at least overshoot the corner. And Schwartzman gained 3 tenths at the exit. And obviously I am a sitting duck at this point as he tries to go for a move around the outside. We're side by side heading into turn 4. Alonso not far behind, 3 tenths, now 2 tenths, 2.5 tenths. And Schwartzman, obviously he doesn't have to save any fuel. He now has the inside line. I give him a bit of a love tap as we go off the track limits. And Schwartzman manages to go past me and we're now side by side with Alonso. And pretty much this fight for the wooden spoon has been going on until lap 18. This is probably the most exciting part of this race as we're now side by side again. With Schwartzman heading down the Senna S's. Latifi and Alonso are not that far away. This is DRS train. Gasly who has dropped down the order by 2 places. He's also trying to make up some places for the AlphaTauri as well. Now 3 wide heading into turn 4. Schwartzman, manages to go ahead, and we managed to hold position as there was a bit of contact at the apex between me and Latifi, if you caught that. As we now head down the uphill right hander of turn 6, now turn 7. Latifi side by side Alonso. I get a bit of oversteer, but I managed to hold the car. And we only have a couple of corners before we reach the finish line. And we're still behind Schwartzman for the time being. As we now head down the corner, we are still trying to catch up to Schwartzman. We lock up the front right. And Gasly is struggling as we now head down towards Junsao. We are trying to go for a move, trying to stage a last dive bomb as we get quite a lot of oversteer as Lewis Hamilton wins the race. There's no point now. I'm trying to use all my ERS, trying to drive as hard and as fast as possible with DRS open, but it's not going to be enough for us.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Ferme.
We've witnessed some great battles around the historic curves of Interlagos today, and they've taken a fantastic win. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, time management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners today. Let's have a quick look at how
After a long race, Hamilton manages to stay ahead, but Verstappen manages to nag the fastest lap. And again, Schwartzman stays ahead of me. And Latifi bogged down the order, I think. I think that's Latifi. Oh wait, no! That was George Russell. Ha! The last lap battle, I mixed up Latifi. I mixed up Latifi and Russell, so do forgive me for that. As in the constructors' standings, Red Bull is 7 points ahead, and Alfa Romeo actually finished 9th and 10th. So it is a good result for Raikkonen and Giovinazzi. Obviously, both drivers are leaving Alfa Romeo. As the next race, we are heading into the Melbourne Grand Prix circuit. We are still trying to save as many R&D points as possible, and we're definitely going to take grid penalties for all the components. And we just don't have any reliability on the car. So the plan for the plan for Melbourne qualifying is to take grid penalties and use the components until Abu Dhabi. We only have three races left to go. I don't know why I can't speak today. As that's the end of this video. If you liked it, make sure to drop a like. If you want to subscribe, turn on notifications in order not to miss future uploads. I am the Fat Boy. Hopefully you have a good day, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.